84.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean it's better. It's just creature of habit, I guess.
Yeah, that's sort of the way I am too.
Hey,
And
you are live.
Okay.
I like the flexibility. Sorry.
I will keep
According-
working on getting my picture up, but
That W is very handsome, though.
I can't even see that.
Maybe he need.
I need tech support.
Are you on camera? So you have the mute and then you have
Yeah,
camera.
he's logged in as a panelist. Well, have you updated your Zoom application on your computer?
Not that I know of, but
That could fix it.
But if his camera isn't turned on,
It shows that he does not have a camera.
oh wow.
well, I do have a camera. It's built into my new computer.
Yeah,
Oh, new computer, you've set it all.
so you can click the arrow next to start video and click on video settings.
I don't have start video. You mean on my system, my computer system?
In the lower left-hand corner of your screen where it says mute and video. Do you see the microphone icon and the camera
So
icon?
if you might have to run your cursor over there to make it pop up.
I only have my microphone icon.
Okay,
That's something else that's mystifying me here because I don't have the camera icon.
yeah, your camera's not activated and being recognized by your computer right now.
Mark, are we live?
Yes, you are
Yeah,
live.
we are, because he thought he was going to have trouble starting it, so we started it. And as soon as Will's comfortable, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Well, I can hear and see all of you. I will keep working from my end. Let's not hold up the
Okay.
meeting just because you can't see my beautiful face.
All
Can I
right.
just tell our newest commissioner that thousands upon thousands are watching right now? So,
Way to make her feel comfortable.
I know,
All right.
Yeah.
And,
Let's
and
get
it's for
started.
posterity because they can play it over and over again.
Yes,
All right.
because
It's
I
not the
watched
way
you
it
all,
always starts. Don't scare her.
I watched your last couple of meetings, so I could be a voyeur. So
Kimberly, welcome.
thank you. Thank you.
All right, I need to get us started. A quorum being present, this meeting, the Annapolis Historic Preservation Commission shall come to order. The commission operates pursuant to the Land Use Article of the Annotated Code of the State of Maryland. Local authority for the commission is derived from the Municipal Code of the City of Annapolis, Chapter 21, Section 56. The purpose of the HPC per city ordinance is to preserve and promote the preservation and appreciation of historic sites, structures, and districts. Requirements for serving on the commission are detailed in Chapter 21, Section 8.06. The HPC operates pursuant to the State of Maryland 1977 Open Meetings Act, and therefore no pending application shall be discussed between or among commissioners outside of the public hearing to determine the disposition of the application. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble talking tonight. The first thing we will do is roll call. Will Scott,
Here,
Bill Williams,
Here.
Kim Finch. Here. Leslie Xavier.
Here.
Kevin Smith.
Here.
And Kimberly Golder.
Here.
I am Bobby Collins and I am serving as your vice chair. We also have with us tonight our esteemed Chief of Historic Preservation, John Tower.
Oh,
And we have
thank
our
you.
recorder,
esteemed.
Kim Consoli, who helps keep us on track and headed in the right direction. We have two items on the agenda tonight. Both are pre-apps. The first one is 150 South Street. So if Mark could promote the people that he has in the waiting room for that application. Or excuse me, pre-app, not application. Looks like we have Leo Wilson and Jackie Rouse.
Hello.
Leo, I didn't see you flying balloons yesterday.
It's too breezy out.
Oh,
Who will be presenting tonight?
I'll go ahead and present tonight if that's okay.
That's fine, whatever you want. I do need to give you the standard preamble that this is a pre-app, which is a consideration given to future applicants, and that nothing said tonight, either in favor or against, should be construed as either approval or disapproval of the pending application.
Understood. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, we are ready.
Okay, we'll move through this pretty quickly because you've seen this not very long ago and we have a little bit of new information. But first, I'll introduce my team. Clint Ramsden and Cody Monroe are the owners of the property, as you know, and Andrew Fishback is a principal here at Hammond Wilson, and he's working on this project with us and the rest of our team. So thanks for the time. Last time we got together, we took a look at the structure that's on your screen now. And we're tasked with a couple of homework items to take care of. So we're just going to run through some of this stuff and get to the good stuff for you. Andrew, I'm going to ask you to click through and I'll tell you when I need you to stop. Is that okay?
Andrew's muted.
I don't think he needs to. Yeah, let's hope I can click through this, or he can click through it.
Is changing slides, right?
Yeah, that's what I believe is happening. Stand by. Andrew, can you change
Not
those
happening
slides?
on mine.
They will.
Stand by.
Can you see?
Yeah,
My
now we're
screen?
getting somewhere because we can change our slides.
Okay.
Is it changing, Leo?
Andrew, all I can see is the main screen now. So our
Yeah.
share is down. It's not showing me the share.
All right, hold 1 second.
Yeah, my apologies to the commission.
All right.
Just a
You
minute
don't need to
ago.
apologize to me. That's cool, whatever it is.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's pretty promising, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Floor plan.
Yeah, I
Floor
see the
plan.
floor plan right now, Andrew.
All right, 1 second. Let me just enlarge it here.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So can you go back to the beginning?
Yep.
Great. That's good. We don't have to go through all this again. We went through this at the last meeting, so I'm sure everyone remembers we talked about the historical context of this. So let's just click through those images and then we'll get to the good stuff. Not
Okay.
this stuff to go. We want to go towards the pictures. There we go. This is our building. We all know what it looks like. Keep going, Andrew, and I'll tell you when to stop. These are the existing floor plans, which we're not going to talk about. And we don't really have to do that now. So elevations of the existing. And then what we did was we were asked to go back and look at some of the context along South Street to try and make sure that we were kind of paying attention to the streetscape in terms of how we were coming to the vocabulary for the building. So, so what we did is we went through the the exercise of kind of documenting photographically what we had there. And we numbered the images or numbered the buildings so we could see where they were. And then let's just click through these, Andrew. So here you can see we just started basically at the top of the street by the circle. And it's interesting, you know, you've got this larger commercial building, and we're going to show you how the proposed changes of that relate to the work we're doing in just a minute. Then you can see our project is number 3 there. 2 is a small brick building, 2-story. And then 4, of course, is going to another building similar, but slightly smaller than ours. So it kind of steps down the block. Next. Then this is where the building, the block face starts to shift a bit. You start with building 5 and 6, smaller scale buildings, still commercial. And then we get down to the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 buildings, and that's the residential. So really quite a transitional block. And you can see from the photographs below, looking down the street and then back up, it's really quite different from one end to the other. But it's a pretty clear pattern of, you know, very small kind of townhouse structures down at one end and then up by the circle, a commercial building. Next. So one of the things that we try to do is get a sense of what's happening across the street. So right at the circle, we have the historic courthouse. And then as we go down the road away from the circle, we get to the courthouse addition, if you will. And this was an interesting exercise because you can see that, you know, they tried to mitigate the scale of that building by doing 2-story elements and then pushing the third story back. It seems like it's fairly effective to me. I actually like this building, and I think it worked out pretty well the way they handled the mass, but still punched openings. Some of them are a little bit larger than what we would see historically, but all works pretty well. Next. More photographs of that context. It's interesting to note that there's the really large glass piece that's almost right across the kind of atrium space that feeds into the courtrooms. So there's a modern element that breaks apart this block face, and I just found that kind of interesting. It reminds me of the court we're trying to do on our side. Next. So we also went out a little further to look for context that told us about what's been happening in the historic district of late. So we have our site is 150 South, and then these other dots are other things we went and looked at that we thought were relevant as we look at what we're up to. So we have, of course, the old bank building. This is under renovation right now for interior work to incorporate a new client, a new user in there. That's going to be Mr. Kelly's business, SmartLink. Next, of course, the courthouse. Again, we looked at this before. This one I found interesting, Banneker Douglas, because this has got some really traditional architectural elements like the church, of course, but then there are the space between the old church and the new building. That interstitial space is another one of those glass breaks there. Almost full, like a panelized glass system, but also has the covered entry piece that just projects out from the facade as a metal element. And I think that works pretty well. Next. Here we see some other buildings that start to do that same thing. You've got the brick, the centerpiece. That's a little different vocabulary, but both of these buildings have been worked on, and I really like the fact that they show that rooftop trellis element as kind of a small element on the roof. And you know, we had a lot of discussion about it last time. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but you can see that the functional, like the way they work is really nice, but the image of them is fairly light. It doesn't really change the character of the street or how you perceive the buildings because it's largely transparent, as you can see up through it. Next. And then we went over to the city's garage and took a look at that. And there was discussion at our first meeting about the appropriateness of the lettering and these horizontal metal bands. And so we were just walking around, and I've only been in the garage a few times because I used to come to go to the city offices, but it's not, we're not doing those kinds of meetings. So I went by the other day. I was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what we were proposing. It's almost identical. Next. Just another shot of it. Next. I kind of like this one. I thought that looked pretty good. These start to feel pretty nice. And that's from the other side. That's off of Duke, and you can see it there. It's pretty neat. It's interesting in this slide, you can also see the trellis that supports the solar panels on the roof. So it's quite a different scale, but again, because it's pulled back, it's less problematic in my opinion. And then again, we get into the other parking garages downtown, and we see these same horizontal elements, the metal that's suspended or protrudes out from the facade of the building with the brick and the metal infill. And again, it doesn't appear historic, but it somehow feels like it fits into us. So we thought these were good examples. Next. Now this is one that's on State Circle. You guys might remember this from the building, the brick building that's off to the right in this is where the parking machine that takes the cars in and goes down into the building. I just think that's kind of neat. But the other part of it is interesting is it again has those metal elements off of the brick facade. I would argue that maybe these aren't as successful as other ones we've talked about, but there's precedent for them. Next. Okay, so floor plans, we're not going to really look at these because these don't really matter to you according to the chair, the X chair. Next. Yeah, this is the only one that really matters to us. We're looking at that rooftop component, and we'll show you this in the 3D images in just a minute, but you can see the area. Andrew, can you trace around where the trellis element would go on this roof plan here? So I'm hoping you can see the cursor as he moves around that. That's really the extent of what we're talking about on the rooftop piece. So it's pretty small, but there's garden space all around it. We did make adjustments to the design. We've talked to our MEP engineers, and we can put our mechanical equipment in the rear yard of this down low, so it won't be seen from the street, and opens up that roof for more green roof opportunity. Next. Right, so here's the elevations that are proposed. One of the questions we got asked about was the percentage of glass and glazing to solid surface. And so we're coming up at about 30% on this elevation. And then we went and looked at the other buildings. Actually, the building that's directly adjacent to ours on the left is about 36%. So I think we're about 33, right, Andrew? Is that right? 33 here and they're 36 there. So not that it's overly important, but it's just to give us some context here. And then you can see, you got the brick building, and then the lighter element that's pushed way back in the center. These will be easier to see in the other drawings. Next. So this is where we're landing. Again, we've done a couple of modest tweaks to it. There was discussion about the signage. We took it off. And we're like, gosh, we really don't like it with the signage. Now, I told Andrew today, I kind of liked the stuff I saw in the parking garage that was a darker color, that was the same color as the metal. But we feel pretty confident that that the building works better with the signage on it. It gives the building an identity. And we just like the way it looks. I mean, we could talk more about it, and it'll come in under probably a sign permit, but which you guys probably will review. But we feel pretty good about it, and we really like to keep it if we can. So we're leaving it for now to get feedback. Let's move through these, Andrew. So this one is important because one of the things we were asked to do is to take a look at what's happening with the building on the corner, which whether this happens or not, we're not sure. But go ahead and click to that next one, Andrew. So that's what we're hoping to do with the bank building there. And I think and before we come in for the final approval, we'll put brick on the appropriate materials on the 2 white box models we have right now. We just couldn't do it in a short amount of time. But to me, the change to the bank building, should we be fortunate enough to have that go forward, really starts to create a whole different with our building and this building, the streetscape starts to become, I think, pretty a nicer experience, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to that. Next. Again, just another view. We think this is all working out pretty well. We looked at most of this before. Here is one that shows that that rooftop element and how we're hoping that works. It's about 9 feet clear on that, give or take. And we'll show you how we studied that in model form in just a minute. Let's go through the rest of these, Andrew. All of this is working pretty well. There's the rooftop element. We'll probably take a closer look at the window color too as we move forward. I like it as a gray, but I have to talk to our owners and see what we all feel is appropriate. The green space on the roof works pretty well. That's what it would look like from up by the circle. A little closer view. And I'm just moving down the block here. So yeah, I mean, I think the scale of it feels right to me because it's not taller than the adjacent structure to the far side up by the circle, and it starts to kind of just continue that wall down. Now we're not changing the height, so, and I just think the window patterns are vastly improved because of the small punched openings that are there today. Next. Yeah, all of this is just background. So this was the fun study that we were able to do earlier this week. We went and got our balloons and some devices to hold them down and got up on that roof. And so these first few slides are really just to give you a sense of like what might have visual access to this area. So you can see the top level of the courthouse would have some visual access. And then let's go to the next one. Then you can see there's really not people that are real close on that back side so much. You can see some of the structure, some of the bank building over there, but there's nothing real close. Next. And then this is facing down towards Duke, and this is in the corner of the building. And certainly, you know, there might be an opportunity to see the trellis, but when you see it from the ground, you'll see that it's really hard to see it, especially with the big tree and all of that. And then finally, just working our way around to the other side of the property, just kind of rotating around. So actually, this one tells me that if I had space up there, it would be an enjoyable space. So, so the next slide shows the balloons, and John will tell you it was a bit of a breezy day that day. So we were having trouble kind of keeping the balloons in place. So we borrowed some metal poles from the adjacent job site, actually over at the bank. And we had our team go up there and hold them in the corner. So this was what we were doing up there. So let's take a look at what happens next, Andrew. So we went to the spots that you'll see on this slide here and took photographs from areas that we thought you might be able to see it. And then we'll just click through these. So what we did is we put the balloons up on the poles, but you know, it's just a dot. So we went, can you zoom in on this one for me, Andrew? So you'll see in each one of the slides, you can see the gentleman holding the sticks there, and you can see where the rooftop element sits up there. So we just drew it on there at the height of the balloons. The guys look a little big there, but it's not really, it's a optical illusion. But anyway, we just drew on there in red so you would get a sense of where, you know, it'd be easier to see than just the dot of the balloon. And it's intended to mimic the outline of the trellis piece. So let's zoom back out on this guy. So we knew we'd be able to see it from some places. I think if you took a second to look in the covered entry piece here through there, you would see a peek of it. So next. And the same thing as we move around, you know, you'll get glimpses of it between buildings through the parking lot. You know, this gives you a better sense of it right there. You can see the balloon at the top, which is where we set the piece. Next. Here we are from the parking lot area. So this really isn't necessarily the public way, but although you could argue you could walk through that courtyard and see it. And then this is from the back of the courtyard, and this is where it would be most visible. But again, it's not the public way, and we can't see that this would block a view of any of the historic structure or fabric of the downtown area from this side. And then we continue to move around. Here you can see it off to the side. There's the tree we saw from the ground in the background. So yeah, that's what we have from that side. That's on the street side, right in front of the courthouse. And then this is what we would see. That's about where it would be if you looked at it right from South Street. And if you think back to the rendering, it's that seems right to me. So that all of that is lining up as it was supposed to. And then if we go to the circle, these are the kind of little glimpses you could get of it. So as you move around, you might see it there. And then I just asked Andrew to put this in there because this is the kind of space I'm trying to create up there. It's not big. It's just a comfortable place to go and have lunch or sit down and take a phone call during the day. I kind of think it's neat, but we can talk more about that. And so that's what we've been up to this week. And we're lucky enough, John Tower came out and took a look at it with us. And I think he had so you can probably add some commentary to it. But with the study, we feel like it's telling us that the appropriateness of that component seems to work. The building's feeling good in terms of the context that we studied around both the streetscape and in the larger context of the historic district. So we wanted to share that information with all of you and get some feedback from you in hopes of pursuing a more formal approval as soon as it's practical. So I'll turn it over to you guys for comments, if that's okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Will?
Leo, what would the color and material of the superstructure of that be?
Well, we're thinking it'll be a darker color because it seems to go nice against that the brick, the masonry that we're beefing up in there. I think right now it's looking like a gray would be our choice probably.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the signage might change to that same dark gray, but again, I have to talk to the owners more about that. And I think we might darken up the window pattern just a touch too.
My other question has to do with something that you might not be able to answer on behalf of the owners. My only concern about what you're proposing up there after seeing the suggested design is that could also be used not just for taking a call at lunchtime or something, but for after hours events. Do you think the owner would be agreeable to a condition prohibiting that?
Well, we can certainly talk to him about it. I think from my standpoint, like it would sure be nice to be able to have a gathering after work at 5 and, maybe have, a couple of guys or people up there in the early evening. I mean, if you told me the thing had to be shut down by 10 o'clock at night, I don't think that's an issue for anybody. Yeah. And, or even earlier if we needed to, but the reality is there aren't a whole lot of residential neighbors that are directly adjacent that we think we would affect, but certainly, that's something that I think I could bring up with them and maybe we can talk about.
I only ask myself because that's my last remaining concern. I thank you for your additional work, and I have no other concerns about what you're proposing at this time.
Great. Well, we'll give our owners a chance to think about that, and then we'll come back to you with more information on that one.
John, since you were able to see the red balloons, I'm curious your thoughts now that you've seen the additional, information.
I didn't find it to be prominent from any view. And it's certainly something you could see if you focused on it, but it's in the back of the building. I would consider it subordinate. It's not a dominant feature at all. I will also say in support of the green roof, my son called me from graduate school and he said, Dad, do you think you could promote any green roofs in the historic district? This would be a great way to create carbon capture and well, I said, as a matter of fact. So thumbs up on the green roof. I have one concern about the pergola, and it's not related to view sheds. And my concern is the same as what Will mentioned, and I think this is not related to this particular proposed use, but and I think I said this, Clint, did I say this to you yesterday? That I thought, well, going forward, we might want to let the adjacent neighbors know, maybe within a 200-foot radius, as though it were the equivalent of getting some sort of adjustment to zoning, or some variance or something like that. And there are 4 residences not too far from this, from John Pilley project years ago, and they're certainly within easy earshot, especially when things get quiet. So my thought was that I should make them aware of what's going on here. They're probably not going to see the sign because they're on Duke of Gloucester Street, on the other side of the parking lot, and sound can travel. With proper notice, if we don't hear from them, then and their objections aren't strong, I think it's a worthwhile addition. Certainly not overstated. And anyone who sat up there, I think, would find it quite enjoyable. It's just another view of another way to view what is really a sterile portion of South Street. And I think this application goes a long way to beginning to change that. So, and I think the vocabulary of what's proposed is interesting. I think it fits. It certainly fits with the courthouse, and as Leo showed, you can go around town and you can see this on the newer buildings that we've approved.
Okay. Anybody else, comments or questions?
If you don't mind.
Yes, please.
The one thing I don't see is any mechanical equipment screening. I assume that's your mechanical equipment, compressors and all are going to be on the roof. So it'd be nice to see how that's going to be handled.
Yeah, we took a look at it, and we are intending to use equipment very similar to what we used at the Annapolis Yacht Club, which are exterior condensers that feed, each one of them feeds about 6 or 8 interior units. And so after we talked about this with our mechanical guys a bit, we think we can do it with maybe 3 of those units, and they all fit down on the ground behind the building.
Nice.
So our new thought is, why have them up on the roof when I can do them in the back down on the ground near the stairway? They're easier to service. If they fail, I don't need a crane to remove them or reset them. And so we think that's a better way to handle it. And there's a lot of reasons that it makes sense not to have them up on the roof, and we have some space to do it. So we felt like this is a better choice. Now, we haven't gone far enough down the road to know if I'm going to need like a VRF system for air exchange, but the windows are all operable in this building, which is unusual for an office building, but they are intended to be openable in each of these offices, because it's not a high rise and there's not a lot of danger associated with some operable windows, even if there's limiters on them. So I may not need that piece of equipment. There may be some other things I need to put up there, but at this point, we're going to do the bulk of the heavy lifting down low.
Okay, so basically you're saying there's nothing on the roof?
Right now, we're not showing anything up there because I don't think I need anything up there.
Okay.
But if we do have to get something up there, then we're going to try and chase this down a little more between now and our formal application. if we do end up having to get equipment up there, then we'll have to look at a screening assembly. And my guess is it will be very similar to what we're doing for the surround on the trellis piece. So Andrew, can you go to that second to last slide again for me? Yeah, so what I think we would end up doing is it would never have to be more than maybe 4 or 5 feet tall, even with the curb. So I would elect to probably do something like this wall panel assembly, only it would go right down to the deck. So we would, that's what I would use to screen it if we need to do it.
Okay.
So Leo, is this similar to what we had talked about, this system at AYC?
Yeah, it's exactly
Okay.
the same one, John. It's the,
Okay.
those units that are, kind of thin and they don't they don't give you a big footprint.
It look like old window box fans.
Yeah, kind of like that, I think.
May I ask a follow-up question on this point?
Yes.
Is this just an advance in technology? I mean, you see these a lot more and have been in use for a while in Europe. Is it just a more efficient unit, and that's why they can be smaller and more discreetly placed?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. It's just, the days of doing a single, like a big chiller with the trickle chillers on them and all of that stuff's gone. I mean, now all of it is a lot simpler, and the units are smaller, and we can place them. There's not a necessity for big movement of air, because I can take the energy and put it into each one of these areas in the building from a single unit. So that's what's helping us on that front.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Kevin or Leslie or and either of the
Put the last
kids?
slide up, Andrew.
Yeah, I'll add some comments. But mostly just reiterating what Will said, that happy with this design overall. I appreciate that you listened to our concerns and addressed them with the photos and the red balloon test and all that. So so appreciate the presentation and being able to present in a way that's very helpful for us to be able to address whether the feasibility of the project. So I don't have any concerns at this time, so I appreciate the effort that went into it.
Okay. Anybody else? I just have one question, and it's actually for John Tower. We tell a lot of people that they can't have rooftop decks. Now, we understand where this is in primarily non-residential block. Obviously, it gets residential at the other area, and that it's on a building that's not contributing. And, are you going to be comfortable telling people why this one worked, but others might not? I don't want to put you in an awkward position.
Well, I certainly appreciate that consideration. And of course, let's keep in mind that Clint and Cody are also our next pre-application, and that's for a rooftop deck also.
Right.
This is in a more commercial area, and I feel as though its use is probably going to be more controlled, and but I also, it's so, the way Leo has designed it, it's so nice that the people renting offices might use it for date night.
No.
Right. We'll but I think as we rewrite and edit the guidelines, we'll need to just take into account that I think the neighbors should have a voice in approval, and it's because the sound is going to travel from the pergola and the rooftop more than most people imagine. It's amazing how it travels, and that's you could walk by a job site or walk near a job site where a roof is being worked on. You can hear it blocks away.
Yeah.
And that's that's just the nature of how sound travels above roof lines, and that is the case here. But in terms of its visual impact, I think that's minimal.
Okay, good. I just wanted to
Thank
double check
you.
with you
Yeah,
before we
thank you.
went forward at all. If there are no other comments, then I will do my best to summarize. We saw a lot of good answers to questions that we raised before, and that's primarily what I'm going to address. The applicant or pre-applicant in this case gave us information on the window massing, which it sounds like is right about at the 33%, which is what we like to see. We got a lot more context of what the street and the surrounding neighborhood looks like, and that was very helpful. We got to see the other buildings in the area that are commercial, that have similar design styles, and got to see how this will fit in with those other buildings. Because of the looks at those other buildings, I saw a lot more that made me more comfortable with the front canopy piece and potentially the address piece that we had asked about last time. And then finally, we saw details on the pergola. I have never seen the red balloon test before, but I find it particularly helpful. It really gave me a good sense of what you would be able to see and where you would be able to see it from. So based on all of those things, it sounds like the commission basically feels that this is a feasible design. It also sounds like that when you guys go out with the full application, it would obviously be a good idea to talk to, make sure the neighbors have plenty of time for feedback, basically, so that you'll know, so that they will know what's coming and what impact it might have on them. Have I missed anything from anybody? Since this is the first time I've done this, if I've missed anything, please let me know.
No,
Well done.
well done, Bobby.
Okay. Does the applicant have any questions or anything? Have we given you some good information, I hope?
As always, it's really helpful to come and see you guys in a more informal way. And so we appreciate the guidance and the help, and look forward to bringing it in for formal approval as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
effort.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, our second pre-app is for 28 College Avenue. If we could promote the people for that pre-app. Let's see. I see Clinton Ramsden, and then I see a George and Jamie Roberts. Is that everyone that you are expecting?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do the standard spiel, and I just need someone to agree to it. This pre-app is an accommodation offered to prospective applicants. Nothing said here in terms of comments or suggestions offered by the commission should be considered either approval or disapproval of the pre-application. Do you understand these conditions?
Yes.
Okay, then whoever's presenting, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this is Jamie and George from Bohan Contracting, and we are presenting for 28 College regarding the proposed revision to the existing flat roof on the property to accommodate the new utilities and the required maintenance that will be needed. We have incorporated the feedback that you provided from the last pre-application presentation that we did, and we've adjusted what the exterior appearance is going to be and have added that into the presentation. But first, we would like for Cody Monroe, the homeowner, to say a few words. He's under Clint Ramsden on there.
Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate the introduction, and thank you to the members of this board for your time. It's always much appreciated. I know Jamie and George have been working hard on this design, and they've been really serious about taking the design considerations that this commission offered in the previous hearing on board. I think largely more of a parapet design, which could be a little more harmonious with the rest of the building rather than just purely wires on the, wire rail on the outside of the perimeter of the area in question. So I think they've assembled what I would consider to be a very smart and attractive design that stays sensitive to some of the questions that this commission was discussing previously. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jamie and George.
And again, thank you for your time, you guys. So here's just a quick recap of the current street views of the property. One from King George Street near that flower shop, and then the other from like a different angle, like as you turn the corner. And then here's the view from College Avenue. So it's mainly only visible from King George. So here's the existing right elevation as seen before. And then here is our proposed. So again, we took into consideration what you guys mentioned in the last meeting. So instead of just doing a cable railing system, we've decided to do a 2-foot parapet wall with matched cedar siding on the side of there, and then another foot of cable railing on top of that to come to the full 3 feet. So we did this in order to keep like the life safety standard up there. We didn't want to have a non-compliant railing system up there. And again, we're also open to suggestions on this. If you guys would rather see it be a full wall with siding all the way up without the cable railing system, we're open to that suggestion as well. Or for full cable, correct. So here's kind of the rear view, which will only be seen from a couple neighbors as discussed. And we also decided, I'll go back to the slide. So we discussed the previous meeting about changing the pitch of the roof, which everyone agreed. I think we need to keep the pitch the same, which we agree upon as well. But I think this parapet wall kind of helps it blend in to the existing house. So again, this is the rear view. The same wall continues all the way around to all 3 sides. So again, this is the reason we kind of need it. We're planning to put the mechanicals up on the roof as seen, which shouldn't be viewable from the street at all, especially after the parapet wall is in place. And you can kind of just see like the maintenance that's going to be required, like on top of this deck from all the leaves. So our plan is to basically demo, and we're going to have to reframe some of the rotted joists on this roof system. Again, we'll keep the exact same pitch as we have now, and then we'll frame that 2-foot parapet wall on top, the 1-foot cable railing on top of that. And then we'd like to replace that current window with a modified access door just to give a little bit easier access. And then the mini split will go up on top, and then we'll install a new membrane. So here are our materials. We chose a door that basically matched our already approved front door at this property. So it's going to be approximately 32 inches wide by 50 inches high. Here is the proposed siding. It's just the matched cedar siding to the existing house right now. And then for the cable railing on top, we were thinking of doing a cedar post with cedar railing as well. That way we could just blend in with the house and keep everything, maintaining the existing appearance as much as possible from the street. Here's our, hidden fastener design for the cable railing. Just be a typical stainless steel with hidden fasteners. The mini split, which again should not be viewable from the street. And then our walkable membrane. So, and again, in conclusion, we tried to mirror this off of the previously approved 248 Prince George Street project. So we think we've done, basically everything that you guys have asked to see from our previous presentation. So I'd love to hear if there's any other feedback on that.
Any questions from anybody on the commission?
Well, I'm not a commissioner, but could you go back to the street view that includes the future tea house?
Correct.
Yeah. Cody, is that what we're going to call it, the tea house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're actually going to serve coffee now, John, so it'll be a coffee shop.
Oh, coffee. Okay. All right. Okay, so it just gives you some perspective on what can be seen and how close the proximity is to the neighbors.
Correct. And then just pointing out in this photo, I don't know how easily we can see it, but right up here, if you guys can see my cursor, there is another existing rooftop deck. And then, yeah, I believe that's the only one in this neighborhood, but so there is one within proximity of the house already.
John, what are your thoughts on these changes?
It's simply more prominent within the streetscape. Even though it's on the back of the house, I think they've tried to mitigate the prominence by using a matching siding and then just having 1 foot of railing above. Again, this is where we need neighbors to buy in. Oh, okay, this is fine, because that's actually the biggest concern that I have with this. It is close. And Cody, I know this is supposed to be your residence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Right. So I have faith and confidence in your maintaining good relations with your neighbors, especially given your prominence within the Annapolis community at this point. Boy, that's been fast. And think about it. And after we finish with this, Cody, I'm going to talk about the roof on the coffee house. So
that's a very exciting development, and thank you for the guidance on that. We're excited to show the idea off.
Right. So you all are getting woven into the fabric of the historic district here. So this is it from the standpoint of the possibility of difficulty over noise. I have a concern from the design. The house is barely contributing. It contributes in form. It is so remodeled. Once it was fairly simple folk Victorian form, and just virtually every element of that was originally on it is off. The windows, the siding, the porch, all of it. It's all changed. So the addition of a railing on the back of the second floor roof is a moderate change. Which has a minor impact on the streetscape. That's what I thought about it when I first saw it. I still think that portion is true. So it's this one's a little trickier.
John, do you have a preference of full parapet versus parapet with the wire railing above it?
I didn't know why the 1 foot wire was added. Can you all address that?
So we originally had it as a full cable railing, and then in the previous meeting they recommended doing like a lower height wall with a railing on top of that, just to reduce like both of them in kind. You know what I mean? Because if it's like a taller wall, then that's more noticeable, and if it's only the cable railing, then that's noticeable on its own. But if you kind of like mix the gap with those two, like the two different heights, then in general it becomes less noticeable. Is kind of what we gathered from the previous meeting.
And if it adds clarity, John, they just need a 36-inch height to meet code. So, but whatever the composition is, that we're okay with this board's recommendation.
Commissioners? Will, Bill?
I'm all good.
The partial parapet is a little lighter than a full parapet. I mean, when you consider the size back there, the bulk of a full parapet might be a little heavy.
Okay,
Can we go back and see the drawing that shows that side and the parapet and the railing again? There. I think the one thing that throws me off on this drawing is the parapet siding. It's kind of interesting in that the parapet siding reflects the building siding, but because of the fascia of the roof, it kind of makes it look off.
And again, that's something we could change. We were just trying to keep that, historical board and the angle of that roof there.
And I think what I'm getting to, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking about what I'm getting to, is I think we'd want to keep that fascia because that represents the building. I'm not sure how historic it is from what John said. But at the same time, we are mimicking the siding on something that's new. And maybe that finish isn't a clapboard siding. Maybe it's a different finish material.
so you're saying you want to be able to tell the difference when,
I'm thinking I want to be able to see the form of the existing building and have that added piece, solid or cable, I'm not worried about that, but have that piece to simply say it is not part of the original building.
so differentiation.
Some sort of differentiation, yes.
But Bill, you're saying keep the fascia.
Yeah, keep the fascia because that's the building line. That's the
Right. Right. So with
the corner board, I think I'd stop too. I'd do something to make a juncture there.
Well, I agree. Differentiation is worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and I can't tell you why, but it just feels off to me.
Well, so can I chime in just from for a little bit of experience, having done a deck like this myself under trees that shed? You will want a gap under that siding. You will really want a gap. Otherwise, all your leaves will build up. It's tricky.
You talk about on the back or the sides or both?
I'm talking on the side there. So you actually want to raise the siding so that there's enough of a gap so water and leaves could actually exit.
So you'd raise it, it would be no more than 4 inches.
Exactly. Right. I was thinking maybe 2 or 3 inches, but just so that all of that can get out.
You don't think that makes it look more like a roof deck then?
Well, what they're not showing now is where the water will go if there's some sort of scupper system to collect the water if there is no gap in that parapet wall.
Well, since the slope is, do we have a back elevation?
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea, like in practice, to create like a gap, and we could have like posts that go down to the floor, and then at least on this back wall. If you'd like to see it on the side walls as well, then that's
Otherwise, we would have to add a drain and a gutter and downspout to have the water exit.
Well, I think you're going to end up with a gutter either way.
I think you would want it.
Yes.
No, I agree. Do you think you'd want to see that on the side? On this elevation as well?
Not a gutter. No.
You know,
If
if you
that's what
have,
you're
if you have the gapping on the back, you're not going to need it on the sides.
Exactly. But if you want to differentiate it, like,
And am I hearing that maybe we would prefer just to see the full cable railing above the fascia board?
No, I don't, I think we prefer the parapet wall above the fascia board after the gap and then the railing on top, if I'm interpreting what people are saying correctly.
just with a different material to differentiate it.
I don't even think it has to be a different material as long as there's that break that makes it clear that it's not part of the original building. I think what you and we are trying to do is give you the function you need while still giving the building the right appearance.
Okay.
Any other commissioners?
I would just like to know, is the next step or stage of this where we would see a color rendering so that you can better see the differentiation?
Well, when they come for a full application, they will have all that stuff there. So yeah, they'll have a great deal of drawings, maybe even computer generated, that will show in great detail all of the features like that.
Okay, because I noticed with another, we had that even at this early stage, so that's why, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and this piece right here is like a white fascia board at the moment. So there would be like a separation, like as far as colors go. But do you think you guys would want to see something more than that, than like a color difference?
Well, when you do your application, you'll want to do everything in full color so that, you know, it's clear where different pieces and where various components start and end.
But as far as like, you know, in actuality, like, you think it would be approvable as far as like leaving that trim board there, that being a different color, and then using the same siding on that parapet wall, and just having that fascia board in a different color differentiate the difference between the parapet wall and the existing structure?
Well, right now it's white, correct? And the base building is the brown siding.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, I personally think those colors give the right appearance. I don't think you need to change the fascia color. It should match the rest of what's on the building.
Yeah, and that's the idea. I was just making sure that we're okay with that being the differentiator between, you know, the old and the new.
Yeah. Anybody else have any different thoughts? Okay.
Bobby, I had another question. I don't know if I'm misremembering from the first one. Was there a reason these HVAC units had to be on the roof versus, you know, in a backyard or fenced away that, you know, wouldn't impact the roof view at all?
If I recall correctly, and I went back and watched the video for it, they were here on June 22nd. It was something about the size of the yard and the way the system worked. Am I correct on that?
Correct. Yeah. So in order to get the actual like line sets to the upstairs was the first reason, and the second reason is there really isn't a whole lot of space like in the backyard or between the two houses on the side.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Is your back section in line with the, is that wall actually continuous? I'm looking at the photo to the right, and it just looks like it's back away from the plane of the gabled end. What am I seeing?
It's in line.
If you bring your cursor over to the left, that's your building, correct?
Right here?
That's your, yeah. Is that your building? That's your building.
Yes.
Okay, I was confusing buildings. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I guess in the image, it looks like the plane of your back section is not in line with the plane of the gable section. like it sits back a little bit. This looks like a shadow line there. And that's what's confusing me.
Yes, yeah, there's a little shed roof like down here.
The one, I'm looking at the shadow that's running up to the left of the corner board.
Vertical line, it's just shadow.
Gotcha. Yep. Yep.
Just looks like it sets back a little bit, that's all. Because that helps break the plane of the building and again, differentiates the individual sections. Similar to what we're talking about with the roof deck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing
Okay.
else, I'll go. I'm sorry, did somebody have a question? Oh, okay. If nobody else has anything else, I will try to summarize. It looks like we've gotten some good information, helping us to understand better the, I'm going to call it a roof deck, even though we can debate what to call it, but for clarity, to serve as a way for them to handle the utilities and also to be able to clean off the roof of all the debris from the magnolia bush or magnolia tree and anything else that's around there. I think the proposed solution of the partial parapet wall with the cabling system above it has received good reviews from the commissioners. The suggestion to put a small gap at the back of the section so that you can essentially flush water and leaves out through the bottom is a good idea, as is the way to differentiate the new section of the parapet wall from the original part of the house, using the fascia and a slightly different look for the new materials and everything. I'm trying to think if I've ever missed anything else. I don't think so. To the applicants, have we given you some good information and helped you today?
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Could I ask if they could stay just a moment longer? And
Of
Cody,
course.
this is relevant to you too. Can you show another slide of the flower shop?
Yes.
So I wanted, this is not on the agenda, but I wanted to bring it up because the roof that is currently on what's going to be the coffee shop, and this project has begun, the owners, who are Clint and Cody, would like to change the roof, remove the asbestos shingle, and create, I believe, as closely as possible, a roof in metal, similar to other roofs that have been done fairly recently in the historic district. It's tricky work, requires a high level of craftsmanship. The distinguishing features of this roof are first the tile, the roof tile dimension, but then also the raised ridges. And I wanted to bring it up because we don't regulate color, but when you look at this building, the red seems an important element. On the other hand, I don't think the roof in its current condition and the fact that one entire side of the roof is not in its original material, I don't think that it warrants being retained, especially because it's asbestos. So I wanted to bring it up, especially since we're looking at it, to say that I think that I could approve the change of roof administratively for this the little building, the little soon to be coffee shop, and it's currently enclosed in fencing. So the project has begun. It's going to change the appearance of the building. I don't think the intention is to change the character. But when it comes to asbestos roofing, I think its time has come and gone. I think that it's worthwhile to remove it and replace it. And in this case, and at the Middleton Tavern, which is also a Cody and Clint property, they're planning to do the same with Freedom Gray in a standing seam roof to as closely as possible recreate the roof that was previously there. Is that too much information? I can back it up if you all want.
No, you always have good information. What are you looking for from us tonight? Are you just telling
Well,
us this so that we know, or are you looking?
I want to
for-
make sure that you're informed about this before the decision is made. This can, I believe, be approved administratively. It's just a character defining feature.
Right.
However, it's also a hazardous material. So I don't mind sharing information like that with you. I think it's important, especially as people are going down the road saying, what the hell is going on at the little flower shop?
So they're going to change the material to metal, and what's the color going to be?
It's Freedom Gray.
Okay.
John, do we know
Yes.
if that roof is original to that building?
I think it is.
If it is.
Yeah.
Bobby?
I agree, though, the asbestos has to go. I'm gonna go right there.
Will, you had a comment?
A comment and a question. I agree with Bill and John. Once you said asbestos, any chance we get to remove it, I think is it's necessary to do so. My comment is that I have great confidence in all the staff that I've dealt with since I've been a commissioner, and I think more things should be done administratively. So, and in this case, John's explained himself very thoroughly, and I agree completely with his decision. Last thing, though, is that as much as I mean what I just said, it's a little difficult to talk about these kinds of things if we don't have any drawings or more specific information. So that I'm a little uncomfortable with. But as I said, I trust John, and in this case, I support his decision.
I will. I have some what I would consider to be fairly decent drawings, which I will email tomorrow.
Great.
Tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
I think it's worthwhile. Honestly, I think in some ways it sort of redefines or gives this little building a new life. And
I love this building. I'm glad somebody's doing something with it, and especially if it's going to be a place I can get more coffee.
Yeah. It's going to be a long time, though, before the rest of us in town quit calling it the little flower shop.
Oh, I will quit as soon as they put the coffee sign out.
I think Cody's a smart man. He found himself a house he liked, and then he put a coffee shop right next door.
Yeah,
Can't do any better than that.
I like that idea.
John, I have one question. So, is anything about this structure historical in any way?
Well, it's I think I defined it as contributing. It was built before the period of significance ended. It certainly had it was a functioning gas station when I was a boy, which was its original. That was its original use.
Really?
But
They had gas when you were a boy?
Yeah, gasoline. Yeah. They called it petroleum. Ethyl red.
And you cranked yourself, right?
I wasn't allowed. I was too young.
So, is it more of a genre than it is historical?
Well, it speaks to a particular time. I mean, talk about minimalist structures.
Okay.
a business was there for 30 years or almost 40 years. And, with the refrigerated Coke machine outside, the little bottles, boy, did I like that. And a couple of gas pumps. And that was it.
Didn't it have a service pit where that van is sitting, where they worked on the cars?
And no. I mean, he might have worked on cars. There was one man who ran the whole show.
Hmm.
It was a different neighborhood.
I just seem to remember cars being worked on in that corner. But either way, it's a great little building.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And Clint and Cody are doing a lot of adaptive use of these structures. And that's, in this case, is I think a really good thing. I hope this is a success.
Well, John, I appreciate you bringing it to our attention so that if we get questions, we can help spread the word of what's getting done and help people understand why this is a good thing. So.
Thank you.
Any pictures of it while it was a gas station that you found?
I'll see if I can find some. You're really the king of the historic pictures, though.
I've been looking for pictures of that one.
Yeah, he's got tremendous pictures.
I'll see if I can find one. Oh yeah, it was just a little neighborhood business.
Yeah, I thought I had one when the train was making that turn, and there was a shot of the train with it in the background, but it's hidden.
The downtown streetcar.
Yep.
Yeah. Our train. Yes. Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you, George and Jamie, but I certainly appreciate the opportunity to look at the pictures.
Absolutely. We're more than happy to do it.
And we're excited to hear about this project as well, because we're working with Clint and Cody on this project.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
All right. John, anything else for us before we go on to the next item?
Well, I don't have pictures or plans for this, but I have a small issue at 10 Church Circle. It's pretty minor. Now, for those of you who can go back, let's see, at least 3 or 4 months for the pre-application for 10 Church Circle, where we said we thought that it looked somewhat like an early 1920s industrial building with the proposed changes to the exterior. And it was a Hammond Wilson project. Andrew was the designer on it. So they're working on the fit out for the tenant, and in their drawings, they have a door at one of the entrances, and I thought it was in place. Well, it's not. They drew it in, but it's not. It's something they want to put in, as opposed to something that exists. And I thought that was a little cheeky. And I just have to get over things like that. That little sleight of hand where you show it as existing, but in fact it's proposed. The question is it possible for me to approve something like that administratively? It's not a contributing building. Its effect on the streetscape is absolutely minimal. They want to extend the railing and make better ADA access there. I mean, it'd be the sort of thing that in some instances we would have it come before the Commission for Public Hearing. it's so trivial. I'm not sure it's worth the time.
Will?
Seeing how seldom members of the public come to speak to any of the applications, that's one of the main reasons I advocate more administrative actions. And John, again, tonight has shown that he's making a fair and practical decision based on what's presented to him. So I would say he should approve it administratively.
I think it is approvable. I don't like the way it's come about.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
That's not the test, because we don't have, as I understand our guidelines and our purpose, we're not here to penalize people because they do things in a way that we don't particularly feel comfortable with. It's what they're proposing to do and how that aligns itself with the guidelines.
That's correct.
Yeah. I concur with Will on this one. So does anybody have any different opinion? Sounds like you're good, John.
Okay, then I will go ahead with the approvals for 260 King George Street and then 10 Church Circle. Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the last item on our agenda for tonight is election of officers. I looked it up and it doesn't tell us how to do it, so I'm open to suggestions. Will?
I've done this road a lot of times in Robert's Rules of Order. I don't think I'm misremembering. It's really pretty straightforward. You have a quorum. Somebody makes a nomination. It gets seconded. You, as the acting chair, call for any other nominations. If there are none, then you call the question and you vote with just a singular nomination.
That's pretty much what I've done in other places. I didn't know if there was anything different for it here. So anyway, so let's begin.
Madam Acting Chair.
I'm sorry?
Madam Acting Chair.
Yes.
I'd be recognized.
You are recognized.
I've only been on the commission for I think it's 5 years, but I may be approaching seniority over everybody except for Kim and Bobby. So whatever, if that gives me any right to speak first, I'll take it. I would like to nominate Bobby Collins for chairperson. She has certainly, in the 5 years I've served, shown that she's knowledgeable about our guidelines, principles of preservation, and has shown tonight, as she has in the past when had the opportunity, that she leads a meeting very effectively. And so I place her name in nomination. Is there a second?
I second.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, then I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess do I vote for myself? I don't know.
Of course you can.
Vote.
I don't think you need to. I think you're in.
Yeah.
All right.
You were
Thank you very
drafted.
much. I appreciate the confidence you've placed in me.
May I ask?
Yes.
May I ask that the record show that you were elected by acclamation?
Okay. Sounds good. Now we need a new vice chair. And I have not had a chance to talk to any of you. I think all of you would make a good vice chair. Does someone else have an opinion? I'm going to throw a real curveball at Kevin.
I'm not sure the chair can nominate.
The chair cannot? Okay, well, I kind of showed my hand there then.
Well, in that case, I'll nominate.
Yeah, I
Kevin.
was gonna say I would too.
There you go.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor? Or any other
Well, he
nomination?
has to accept
Yeah,
it.
he has to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
acknowledge.
he has to accept it or not.
I'd be happy to serve. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
Any
Now
other
you have to
nominations?
ask if there are other nominations.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did. Yeah, any other nominations? Then I call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
All right, also nominate or also approved by acclamation. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
You'll get the same pay I got.
Great.
I thought he got double.
Yeah, just don't go on strike like all the actors and writers and everything. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, any other business that we need to discuss before we, I'll need a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else. Kimberly, you
Move.
survived your first meeting. Congratulations.
Yeah, watching the last couple of meetings was helpful, but I think I might go back and look at that June 22nd one you mentioned.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Oh, before we adjourn, one last thing. As we all know, we are meeting live and in person in City Council chambers on the 14th of November. I look forward to seeing everyone there. I sent around information. If any of you don't have the premium parking information and don't have your city resident code, I've used them, and at least for the 2 times that I've used it, it worked fine. I'll be sure to tell Ellie that, since she's got that thing in front of City Council right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully we will, the parking will be plentiful, I'm sure. Hopefully everything will work. If you encounter any problems after the meeting or even before it, please let me know, and I will talk to Sherry, because I think she's the person that I would work with if there's any issues. So.
Now, that's only a 2-hour parking allowance.
And if we go over, it's my understanding that someone in the meeting,
Yes.
Sherry maybe, will have the ability to go into the system and add more time. So
Yes.
somebody has a secret power we didn't know about.
Really?
Yes, that's the word, that they will do that.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
that happened when I was there last week and I was meeting with John and others when I was sworn in, and that did happen. And someone had magic powers and went in and extended my time.
so it works. Excellent.
Yes.
We need to find out who that is so we can make sure we're always nice to them.
We need to make
Yes.
friends.
Yes.
Will, it looked like you had your hand up for a minute.
Yes, I wanted to move for adjournment.
Oh, yes. So
I
moved.
second.
Oh, yeah. And actually, you don't even have to do that. You just can move it, say that if there's no additional business,
Yeah, you can do that. Yes.
yeah, you can just adjourn by unanimous consent, because no one's going to fight you.
Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Everybody have a good night and happy holidays.